Today I'm analyzing the Canon Roulette System, and at the end of this video, I'll be giving it a TrueScore rating so you'll know if this system is right for you. I first saw this on Casino Matchmaker's channel, and the link to that video is in the description below. The system bets three groups of three numbers each. That's going to be straight up, so it's going to be $9 for each spin. The claim is that setting a $70 profit goal and a $100 stop loss will make this strategy win more often than it loses. Is that true? Well, we're going to find out today. My name is Matt, and I can predict how you'll do at the casino. Here's the experiment. We'll start with 108 betting units, and we're going to use $1 units just to keep it simple. I programmed 100,000 bots to play the strategy, and they're going to stop if they're ever in profit by $70 or more. They'll also stop if they're down $100 or if they've gone past 60 spins maximum. But before we look at the data, let's watch a replay of one of the bot sessions. Here's the level 1 setup. All the details for the levels are in the description below.
26 black.
All right, we win right out of the gate. We win $27. Now we're on level 2. When we win, we move up a level.
24 black.
Great, we win again. So now we're going to be on level 3.
18 red.
We get whacked on that one. That means we stay at level 3.
34 red.
Get whacked again, so we're going to stay again.
30 red.
All right, there we won. $27. That means we're in profit $63 now. We're looking for that $70 target.
29 black.
All right, go whacked.
24 black.
Another whack.
30 red.
All right, there we got it. And this bot got to $72 and ended up stopping after 8 spins. But what happens when we have 100,000 bots play? Now we're going to jump into the report and see what's going on there. Here's the simulation report. There's 40 pages of data here, so I can't go over everything in this video. But if you do want to dig deeper, you can read this report and all the others at thinktank.dicedata.info. So the claim in the other video is that this strategy is going to win more often than it loses, and it's pretty close. It depends on how you look at it. 49.4% of the 100,000 bots were winners, and 4.2% were pushes. So if you put those together, it is absolutely above 50%. Only 46.4% of the bots lost money using the system. But of course, what's more important than whether they won or lost is how much they won or lost. So we can see that here. Typically, the bots lost and won 0, so they ended up exactly where they started. The middle 50% of bots, so this is the middle 50%, there's 25% that did better, 25% did worse. That middle 50%, if they were lucky, they won $72, unlucky, they lost $108, and if they were very lucky, they were winning $90. The absolute most that any bot won was $90, and that's really because once they get up to that point, they're above 70. That's as much as you can get above 70 without going for another spin. You can see the information a little bit better if you look at it in chart form. About 38% lost between $100 and $150. Now it's $108 maximum loss here, so that's essentially what they lost. And you can see some smaller amounts in the other bins. About 7% in this bin from $0 to $49, and 47% that was in that bin from $50 to $99. When it comes to profit and loss balance, look at this single zero wheel right in the middle here. And essentially what that is saying is that the wins and losses occur on a very similar frequency, and the magnitudes of those wins and losses are very similar on the actual size of the wins and losses. So it does get 4 stars there because it is quite balanced. I mentioned that the bots were going to continue playing until they either hit the win goal, they lost their money, or if they hit the maximum spins. So about 38% of them actually got to the point where they didn't have any more money. We saw this on the previous chart. 14.8, almost 15% hit the maximum spins. That was 60 here. And 47.1% hit their profit goal and ended up stopping because they won $70 or more. Here are some of the typical bot sessions. So you can see bot 96107, they had a couple wins right away, big string of losses, and then you can see this kind of jigsaw pattern as they win that 35-1 payout. The Lucky Bots has a really interesting shape here. They had 3 losses, a couple wins, and then like 3 or 4 losses, wins, 3 or 4 losses, and just kind of stepped on that over and over again. Very lucky bots, obviously, a lot more wins than losses. This section is interesting because it talks about how many consecutive wins, right? And about 21% of the bots only ever had one consecutive win. The largest group, 49%, had 2 consecutive wins at most. Then we have 3 consecutive wins at basically 1 out of 5. 4% had 4 consecutive wins. 1% had 5 consecutive wins, and 6 and 7 were the maximums. Less than 1% ever had 6 or 7 consecutive wins. The consecutive loss streak distribution actually also shows some interesting ones. Look at this 19. Less than 1% had 19 consecutive losses. But what's interesting is 19 consecutive losses at $9 per spin is over $170, which means these bots were up and they just started hitting this horrible streak. 19 consecutive losses, gave all their money back, and that was the end of it. Here's the return on outlay. 43.4% were able to double their money. Almost 30% tripled their money. 1 out of 5 was able to 4x their money. And even almost 5%, almost 1 out of 20 was able to 10x their money using this strategy. For every $100 that the bots outlaid, they made $389 in total bets. That is limited, and it is limited because the bots really aren't recycling their money. What they're doing is they're just kind of quitting once they start getting ahead. So they're not going to have the opportunity to recycle a lot of money using this strategy with the strict bankroll rules that we have in place. Volatility is 172% of the average bets. Now, the average bets are $9 and the wins are about $27. So, because of that, that's what's causing the volatility. Now, they're relatively low numbers when you consider a unit being $1, but if you were playing like $5, $10, $25 units, then this could be a little more significant to you. This gets a rating of wild, which is significant bankroll swings. When it comes to profit retention, exactly 8,000 bots or 8% were able to be profitable. They got into profit just like the bot demo that we saw before. They got in profit, they stayed in profit their entire session. 13.2% were down the entire time. 40% recovered their money, which is actually impressive. So they were down and they ended up recovering, getting back into positive territory. And almost 30% gave back their money. So they started winning and ended up giving back their money. Here are some of those numbers. This is a recovery. Typically, they recovered by $36. The most that any bot recovered was $99. And you can see that right here. This is bot 89,753. Got into a pretty bad state with $99 in the red here, and then had some wins, gave some of it back, and then got all the way back up to this profit. When it comes to profit given back, typically it was $27. That's an interesting number because it's one win. So it's like one win and then it's given back. Unlucky bots and the most were $63. So this is an example. Bot 57,348. Let me embiggen this for you. So look at this ride. So they were doing all right. They were up a decent amount. Even got into negative territory, got back, but then that string of losses right there just really whacked them. They had one win and then a few more losses and ended up losing all their money by the end of it. Whenever we have stopping conditions like this, it's interesting to look at the number of spins per session. So I told you that the bots were going to go up to a maximum of 60 spins, but typically they needed 28 spins to stop. The 75th percentile needed 48. Once you get up to the 95th percentile, then it gets to the maximum, which was 60 spins. If you're averaging about 30 spins per hour, which is about a spin every 2 minutes, that would roughly be an hour of playtime typically. Okay, what if you wanted to play this multiple times? Well, I had the bots play up to 500 times. Now, we saw that they win after one visit almost 50% of the time. That drops to 40% of the time after 10 visits, a third of the time after 20. After 500 visits, only 2% of the bots were still in profit by that time. Here's the chart. This is the absolute maximum. This is the absolute minimum. But 90% of the bots were in this blue area. And I can show you the actual numbers there as well. So this is the actual numbers. The most that any bot won was $5,000 after that 500 visits. The most that they lost was $12,000. And the typical amount was about, $3,960 lost. Here's the TrueScore report, a house edge, moderate, profit and loss balance. Balance. It's balance. It's right middle of the range, balance frequency and balance size, as we saw earlier in the video. Volatility was wild. Jackpot factor is capped, and that is because we had the stopping conditions. Betting power was limited, so it's relatively shorter sessions with this strategy. It does best with the paycheck player. Bankroll requirements $108. That's by design. That's what the strategy really needs. That's all I have for you today. I hope you found this interesting. If you did, I would really appreciate if you would like and subscribe to the channel. I'm a very new channel trying to make a success here and trying to bring you some really cool analytics for different roulette strategies. Thanks for watching and have good luck at the tables.